Bam, it says we're live. I think we're live. Let's see how this thing works out. Okay, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everyone, wherever you are. Welcome. Welcome. We are about to have a fantastic time together. Let's see here. Trying to pull up all of my thingies so that I can see all of the chats on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. We are live right now. So, hello, everybody on Facebook. I think there's like one person, maybe a ghost, watching this on Facebook. Not sure. Not a super lively crowd. And it looks like we have a couple people over on Instagram. Welcome. FPV. I see a couple, one FPV, another. I can't pronounce your name. But welcome. We're so glad to have you with us today. And over on YouTube, let me make sure this is working right. Is it working? Yeah, looks about right. All right. So I got to make sure I'm pulling up the Instagram, YouTube, pardon me, the YouTube chat here. There we go. Now I found my own live stream. Cool. All right. So I'm watching the chat. Hey, what's up? Looks like we've got Animate Fun BD over on YouTube. Says, bro, what is the lowest budget to build a FPV drone? Whoop, bam, starting off with a banger of a question. Well, let's see here. So that's always the question, isn't it? How do you do a budget FPV drone, right? Let me switch back to this so we can focus. Hello there. You got my full camera here, a full face in the camera. So we got a question over on, oh, wait, the intro first. Sorry. So, hey, everybody, welcome back to the RC with Adam show. My name is Timothy. Just kidding. It's not. It's Adam. And this is a great time. We're live right now, all around the world, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. Amazing technology, right? We are live. And if you have beginner questions and with drones and 3D printing, or if you're not a beginner and you just want to talk about some drones and 3D printing stuff, now's a great time to do it because drones and 3D printing, like, first of all, good job. You're already making great life choices getting into drones and 3D printing because it's awesome and super fun. But it can be like trying to figure out how to make stuff happen and how to get stuff to work together sometimes, but it's super fun. So it's worthwhile. But it can be super frustrating. Okay, I get it. So if you have, especially if you are a beginner and you have questions, you are welcome here. No question is too dumb. And I will try to give you a slightly less dumb answer than whatever the question is or something like that. But we're going to get you pointed in the right direction because, man, I do not know everything, but I probably know where you can go to find answers. That's for sure. So that said, we got a question over on YouTube. And they say, what is the lowest budget to build an FPV drone? Well, friend, it depends on what kind of FPV drone you want to build. Typically, a 5-inch FPV drone, meaning the propellers are 5 inches in diameter. That's kind of how we size drones, by their propeller diameter. Typically, that is kind of what people would get into. But the parts are larger, the batteries are larger, so you're going to pay more money to get into it, especially if you want something with more quality. So, I mean, the question here is specifically building a budget FPV drone. Yeah, so building drones is super awesome, and I think it's great to learn how to do it, and it's fun to do it too. So that's kind of like its own thing in itself. But I would just say that if you really care about flying and you want to just do flying, don't go the building your own drone route. You can, there's nothing wrong with it, but just understand that if you're not as interested in the actual building and tinkering aspect, then you and all the skills that go along with it, you are more likely to experience frustration and hit walls and learning curves and stuff than you would by otherwise by just buying a pre-built drone and learning how to fly, which you should get a simulator, by the way. always get it simulated first because it's so worth it. Even the cheapest, even a free FPV simulator is going to get you your most basic stuff figured out. So that way you're not going to crash your drone as soon as you build it. Now, some people would say, and we're going to take a look here. I'm going to share my screen with you. We're going to take a look at some budget FPV options because that's always the question. And some people would say, well, you should learn to build your first drone because then you'll know how to fix it. Fair enough. But my thing is kind of like, well, you can learn how to fix it even if you buy a pre-built drone and you've already gotten a taste of the flying and you're probably excited about it. So there's kind of more incentive to learn how to fix your drone if it's already crashed. And there's plenty of stuff to figure out how to fix it. So that's what I would say about that question. So more information. He says, so I can use a 6S battery in a FPV drone. So my question is, why do you want to use a 6S battery? Why? And actually, what the questions that I should have asked, because these are kind of like standard like questions to ask when somebody says, you know, what should I get for this, or what's the best budget, blah blah blah. It's like, well, what do you want to do with it? Do you want to carry a GoPro on it? Do you want to fly really far? Do you want to do like super rippy FPV freestyle stuff, or do you want to do like smooth cruising flight? Do you want long flight times? Um, are you trying to get under like a certain weight limit, like a sub 250 gram weight limit? Uh, are you doing digital FPV like with DJI air units for the digital video, stuff like that? So those are things to think about. They're going to make a big difference in your drone selection. Um, let's go. Let me pull up. What's a good place to pull up? I don't know. Pyro drone? Probably Pyro drone. We'll see what Pyro drone has. Pyro drone, I mean, pretty much, you know, the big three. If you are looking for FPV drone parts, the top three places that I would go are going to be Pyro drone, Get FPV, and Race Day quads. Those are going to be your big places. Race Day quads. Race Day quads. Yeah. So all of those great places to check out. Let me share my screen with you guys. What am I doing here? Sharing screen. Boom. There we go. Oh, my apologies. Over on Instagram, I didn't have that page up. So there we go. Okay. Nobody really commented anything. That's cool. But hey, comment on Instagram. Get in the conversation, man. We're talking about what is the best, what is the lowest budget to build a FPV drone? Lowest budget to build a FPV drone. So again, the thing is that, I mean, just to give you a ballpark answer, I guess I would say like $200. $200. But here's the thing, what I'm kind of getting at here, I don't want to like totally steer you away from building your own drone, but a lot of times you can get a drone that's pre-built that's like really budget for less than you could if you were going to buy your own and put it together yourself. All right. So, but again, there are benefits to doing it yourself, but there are also downsides. What am I looking for? Oh, there we go. Pre-builts. So ready to fly combos, uh, bind and flies, and plug and plays. So plug and play means you just add your receiver. Bind and fly means it comes with a receiver, and ready to fly means that it comes with a receiver and a controller usually. Or with FPV drones, a lot of times it's like with the goggles and stuff like that. All right, so let's just take a look. I'm just looking at this here. Let's go price low to high. These are pre-built drones, but we're just trying to get a kind of a ballpark here. So, and then on YouTube, this person is saying, so I can use a 6S battery in an FPV drone. Well, you could use a 6S battery. Wow, a lot of stuff is sold out. You could use a 6S battery in small drones. It really just depends. That's going to depend on the motors. So again, using a 6S or 6 cell battery, which means higher voltage, just for the sake of doing a 6S doesn't really make sense. It really depends on what you want to do with it. Oh, I can't select if it's in stock or not. It's lame. Let's see, pre-built, digital, analog. I mean, if you're saying lowest budget, it's going to be analog. That's what we're going to be, you know, if you want low budget, that's what we're going to be talking about. And again, we're just kind of perusing the pre-built drones just to get an idea, because I haven't super been keeping up on this anyway, so I want to see uh what we can get for like the price that I'm thinking of for that, like under 200. There we go. Sort by price low to high. All right, so it's looking like right about 100, about the $100 range. You're looking at a 1 cell, like kind of indoor type of drone. All right, so this person, Animate Fun on YouTube, says, so I have a 3S 2200 milliamp hour battery. So are you saying, what are you saying by that? That's a big battery, by the way. A 3S 2200 milliamp hour battery. That sounds like an airplane battery. That'd be a pretty darn big battery for an FPV drone. So, and usually, like, if again, I'm not sure what exactly you want to do this for. If you want to like get HD footage from it, if you want to put a GoPro on it or something, but really one of the best things that I recommend is like just getting a ready to fly bundle, like maybe the Emax Easy Pilot Pro, or like the Tiny Hawk. I haven't seen that one actually, the Nano Scout, something like that, where you're getting the whole system. If you're just getting into it, you don't have any controller, goggles, anything like that. That's a great way to do it. Hey, we got another question over here. I think I can't remember the question you asked previously, but I remember you. Two Friends Gaming over on YouTube. Can you make a video on all Edge TX settings, basics to advanced, like the FlySky playlist? To be honest, no. It's probably going to be a no. I just don't think I have the time for that, or to be honest, the inclination for it. Edge TX settings are a lot of settings and stuff, and uh, I think probably most of them don't apply to what I'm doing right now, so I wouldn't really be like into it. You know what I'm saying? Um, Looking at these pre-builds, all right, these are definitely not like budget builds. I know there are some that are or like way more budget builds. Like I can't remember the brand now. Um, and Animate Fun says yes, it's an RC airplane battery. Yeah. So I'm not sure. Are you saying that you have one 3S 2200 milliamp hour? Because that really wouldn't be what you would be using for a FPV drone. Typically, modern FPV drones, well, it depends on the size. So if it's a larger propeller size, you're looking at anywhere from 4 cell to 6 cell, or usually just 4 cell or 6 cell. 5 cell batteries are not very common. And then if you're looking at a smaller drone, like sub 3-inch propellers, you might be looking at well, it really has to do with the weight of the drone too. But you know, maybe like sub 2.5 inch, you'd be looking at 1, 2, 3 cell batteries. 1 cell, 2 cell, or 3 cell batteries like that. But definitely not like an airplane battery type of thing. Kevin Smith over on YouTube says, what are you doing now? What am I doing now? What am I not doing now? I don't know. Be more specific. Right now, I'm live streaming and we're having a great time solving problems. See if I can read that one. can't read all of what that says, but I think Two Friends Gaming says, I think you something lost interest in RC planes. You are now in the world of 3D printing. Yeah, that's like what I've been saying the past few live streams. Is that's pretty much that's where I've found myself lately, is doing a lot of 3D printing. So we've been doing a lot of 3D printing. 3D printing is awesome, and I love how I can combine the two, because I started with RC airplanes, and then moved on to FPV drones, and then also 3D printing, and then doing all kinds of projects with 3D printing and FPV drones and RC airplanes and stuff. So, yeah. So right now, I guess you could say I've lost interest. I don't know. I mean, I just haven't been. Um, I kind of just got pushed out a little bit. Uh, but I want to get back into them. That's the goal for this next year. Two Friends Gaming asks, what kind of job do you do for your livelihood? What an interesting way to ask that question. Well, I do a few different things. I mean, this is one of the things that I do. I mean, what I do full time, my full time job is to be a husband and father. So that's the full time job. That's the ultimate job right there. As far as like money and stuff, income, well, I do this. This is some of what I do. I get some income from doing the YouTube stuff, RC with Adam, and then also I do some professional flying jobs as well. Um, mostly, I'd say mostly with like the Mavic style, traditional kind of camera drone type work. Some stuff with FPV stuff. And then lately, what I've been putting most of my time into the past year or so has been fun fidgets. Fun fidgets. So fun. And that's a really cool business where we can kind of get the whole family involved and basically we 3D print fidget toys and super cute desk buddies. So that's been a lot of fun. And that's why I've been doing so much 3D printing lately, because it's been kind of like for work, you know. So that's just sort of necessitated an emphasis on that. But it's been a lot of fun. It's a great outlet for creativity and stuff like that, and just learning a lot of stuff. You know, learning about business and you know, making products and selling products and stuff. It's tons of fun. All right, did we answer the question about? I guess I kind of did. I kind of in a roundabout way did. What is the lowest budget to build an FPV drone? Yeah, short answer, I would say like $200 to $300. I think so. Depends on if you mean just the FPV drone or like the goggles and the transmitter and everything else. Let's just go ahead and look up just for funsies, right? Because this is what everybody's searching for. Budget FPV drone. Budget FPV drone. The cheapest FPV 5-inch build. So that's Oscar Liang. I think it's Lang. There was the Darwin 129. Let's check it. Let's take a look at that. This is a great resource, oscarlang.com. This has helped me tons, a lot of tutorials and stuff with FPV drones. Super duper helpful. And I love these pictures. These are so helpful. And like I have made my own sort of, but it's super useful when other people make these to be able to use as like a teaching tool. Just all these, all the drone components laid out. So you're gonna have your motors, maybe a capacitor. Yeah, probably. Your XT60, 4-in-1 ESC, your flight controller. So pretty much all those four things, I think if you can see on the screen, are going to be as a stack. Like you'd buy that one thing as a stack. So that's probably going to be around, a budget version, probably like $60. You got your receiver, that's probably going to be like $20. Your video transmitter, uh, I don't know. It could be potentially cheaper. Again, it really just depends, but like maybe $20. So you're like 60 for, so that's $100. And then your FPV camera, maybe $20 for a budget one, plus or minus $5 for analog. So let's just say 20 again. Motors, you could get some like really budget motors, I guess, for like maybe 12. Call it 12. So that'd be like 25, so 50. What do we say? 50. What do we say? Like 20? You could probably do it for less, but just kind of giving a little extra in there. So 50 and then 20. I think I said 20 or so. So you're looking about 90 or so. And then a frame, you could probably get a frame. That's probably going to be one of the cheapest parts, actually. Preferably get like a Source One from Race Day Quads, something that's open source and like American made, and not like a like rip off type. So you're looking at like 30. Yeah, so probably right around 200, around 200 plus or minus $20, something like that. So there we go. I think I answered the question. Two Friends of Gaming says, yes, I like 3D printing, but handcrafted things are not comparable to machine work. I support your choice. Can you make a tutorial to make 3D printed structure using Blender? I'm not sure what you mean by 3D. The handcrafted things are not comparable to machine work. And no, because I don't use Blender. I haven't learned how to use that yet, and I don't foresee myself using Blender either. Right now, I use Onshape for 3D modeling, and that's enough to get by for now. I don't do a whole lot of like organic modeling or modeling like what would you, I don't like characters or that type of thing that people use Blender for a lot. What is this? These are sounds. Oh, this is holy smokes. Okay, so apparently these were the prices, I guess maybe a year ago or something, of Black Friday prices. That's crazy. But I think that's from, what is that from? It's from like, is that Banggood, or it's from some Chinese uh store. I don't know. Wow, that's crazy. Pretty darn cheap. Yeah. So the big difference in price is going to be your video system. So whether you're going analog or digital. Two Friends Gaming says, can we make 3D models using Android mobile? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I thought Onshape was available for Android, but I don't know. I'm not sure. Onshape for Android. Let's see what that brings up. Yeah, well, uh, yeah, Onshape APK for Android download. Yeah, it looks like it. Onshape mobile even runs on iOS and Android tablets, phones via dedicated mobile apps available from the Apple App Store and Google Play Store. So, um, yeah, yeah, it says you can use it on there. But I haven't done any of that. So as far as like what is the best one and recommendations and stuff, I'm not sure. Not sure about that. Let me look at let's look at what was the cheapest? Let's look at cheapest FPV drone. Cheapest FPV drone. Huh. Not getting a lot. Let's look up I think it was called the Darwin brand, Darwin FPV drone. Yeah, best low budget FPV drone brand for beginners. That's what they say. That's what they claim. That's what they're saying. I haven't looked at their stuff in a while. I know they had the waterproof one. Yeah, the Hulk 3 Mini. That's interesting. So it's kind of funny because it's like, here we were talking about waterproofing in a previous video, and I was just talking about how like I'd been working on that and stuff. Um, but I have these cool ideas, but I just like don't have the time to like sort of test them out and make them sort of real. But it's nice to see that there's a company that is working on that and doing that stuff. And realistically, I should probably just buy what they're making to be able to have that. But it's not very elegant. It's not very elegant. It's just, pool noodle foam, which honestly, I don't think those work super great for flotation. I found other stuff works better. And then with the wind, potentially kind of huge problem with the wind as far as like, you know, the wind catching it and all that stuff. Two Friends Gaming on YouTube says, on shape is easy or hard for beginners. So I guess that's a question. I would say on shape is pretty easy. I would say it's pretty easy. There are some really good tutorials on YouTube to check out. Let's go to YouTube. There was one. I can't remember now. Maybe I can find it. Maybe it was this one. Maybe it was Onshape for Beginner Tutorials by CAD Sessions. I think that's what it was. There are a lot of other tutorial videos though. I think that's what it was. And then Onshape it themselves might have some tutorials also. Yeah, a lot of beginner tutorials. So I don't know about like for mobile. It's probably pretty similar though, but I'm pretty sure it was this one. That sounds familiar. By CAD Sessions, the Onshape tutorial. I think it's a little old, a little bit dated. This is what, holy smokes, this was 8 years ago? 8 years ago, how is that possible? I think it was this one though. I'm pretty sure that's the one that I watched that was helpful. So that's what I'd say. I'd say go check out some tutorials. And probably even if it is 8 years old, I think most of the info applies. So I'd say it's pretty easy for beginners. There's a lot of stuff that is more intuitive than Autodesk Fusion 360. But there's also some stuff that's kind of weird from if you're going from Fusion 360 to Onshape, which is what I did. But again, I'm not a super whiz expert in that either. I kind of just know enough to get by. I know enough to make my silly inventions and then 3D print them. That's mostly what I use that for. So, which is still super fun. Love it. Love it. What were we talking about? We were talking about the waterproof FPV drones and stuff. Interesting. Very interesting. Huh. Mm, 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 mm. Yeah, the thing about waterproof FPV drones and stuff is like it's very specific, you know. Like it most of the time, like you're not gonna want to fly around with uh uh big pool noodles, strapped to your drone. Because it does increase the weight and it increases, more importantly, like wind resistance and handling characteristics and stuff. So it's, I mean, if you think about it, like if you're not flying over water, having a waterproof drone, especially a floating waterproof drone and all that stuff, is kind of useless. It's kind of dead weight, which is always bad. Two Friends Gaming says, thanks for your help. You're welcome. I'm glad we could help you today, get you pointed in the right direction. And but that's kind of how it always is with FPV drones or anything that flies, right? It's always a compromise, and it's kind of like, actually, this is an interesting topic. Is ideally you would have something that is specific to every single mission that you fly. And it's like, well, this situation, I want a small, waterproof floating FPV drone. Perfect. Or in this situation, I want a bigger one and that's floating and it's waterproof. But then it's like, well, but now I'm in a desert, so that doesn't matter. So now I want one that's like dust proof and has, I mean, especially this one, the propellers are on the bottom. Like, that's not helpful most of the time. Also, the propellers are like unguarded, which you might not want. The camera's up super high, so your balance is going to be, different and all that kind of stuff. Um, but what I'm finding, at least right now, in my time in life at this moment, I feel like it's so much more beneficial to just have like the same thing and you just are really good with that one thing. And you just so it's not necessarily the most perfect for every single thing, but it's what you have and what and it's maybe you have multiples of it. So if one does crash or if it goes in the water, it's not a big deal. Or maybe if you are flying over water, you just strap flotation to it. In fact, while I'm on that topic, let's look up um let's see. I'm opening too many tabs. I gotta close this tab. Drone float flotation. Is that how you spell that? Blah blah blah. Isn't that fun with the pool noodle? It's hilarious. Drone retriever. I think that is the one. That what I was thinking of? Oh, I don't think I've seen this one. Huh. Automatic float device that is attached to your drone when flying over water. That looks huge. Maybe it's really small, but interesting. Okay, so this is um hmm, lift capacity. Yeah, so that's definitely for bigger drones, it looks like. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, definitely for larger drones where weight is not going to be a super big deal. Very cool though. I mean, it seems kind of basically like one of those like automatic inflation life jacket sort of deals. Let's see. Beacon innovation. What's that? Whoa. Hmm. Interesting. So that one uses compressed air. The one that I was thinking of was like a um it was like a bobber. Can't remember what it was called now. Um it was Can we find it? Can we find it on like a drone website? Maybe not. Float. It was like the something saver or something. It was like the water the mm, I don't know what it was. But anyway, that would be one option. Drone flotation, drone. Is there an A in that or is it flotation? Yeah, there is. Is drone saver flotation? Maybe? Drone retriever. Hmm. It's not coming up. That's weird. Um that's I know I saw it. It was a while ago though, so maybe it's not a thing now. I don't know. Anyway, everybody over on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram, we are live right now all over the world. How crazy is that? So we are doing our live Q&A hour or thereabouts. We'll see. And if you have questions about 3D printing and FPV drones or just RC aircraft and stuff, maybe you're stumped on something, maybe you just have questions about something, maybe you're trying to figure out which thing you should get over this other thing or how to get into it or something like that, leave your question down below or in the comments or in the chat or whatever. And we'll see if we can get you pointed in the right direction. And that's what we're going to do, basically, because I know sometimes it's super frustrating when you're trying to get into 3D printing and drones and you're like, what? And there's too much information out there. So that's why I think the best way to help you is probably just so you can get some live help feedback right away. Because you don't always know what even to search for. So that's what I'm hoping to do with these videos is help you learn how to solve your problems, basically, to, I guess, put myself out of a job. We got Sam Hollerin over on YouTube. Ding, ding, ding. Question alert. He says, how would you approach the 3D design for an RC jet with printing in mind? I'm stuck on where I should start. I'd rather design from scratch rather than using GrabCAD models, etc. What a great question. That's a good question. That's something I have not actually thought about because RC jets are, that's just an area where I've never really been too interested. However, in terms of 3D printing it for, or designing it for 3D printing, how would I approach it? Well, I mean, this sounds like a silly answer, but I would just keep in mind how 3D, how you would need to be able to 3D print it. So designing a part, and it's like, how am I going to put this on the print bed? And how is it going to slice and stuff? If we look at, you've probably looked at these already, but let's look up. Well, let's just look up 3D printed RC jet. Let's just look that up. We've got plane print. Let's take a look at them. What is this? 3D print RC airliners and heavy jets. That's kind of cool. 3D print lab. Let's take a look at 3D print lab. 3D lab print rather. Eclipson. Owl plane. Wow, there's quite a few of them. So many of them. And then there's also Crackle. I don't know if you've heard of Crackle. Crackle hobby. Um, I don't know if they have RC jets or not, but they're kind of cool. I was sort of working with them. I was working on 3D printing one of their planes. It didn't turn out well. Um, I think it was on my end as far as like weight and balance and electronics and stuff. And then I just had other stuff going on, so like I never really finished that one. Do you see a theme? But 3D printing aircraft is really cool. And I want to mention, what do I want to mention? I want to mention that 3D, yeah, 3D Lab Print, they have their filament. That's like their lightweight filament. So you probably looked into this, but for anybody who hasn't, I would definitely want to take a look at the lightweight filament. I think it's the Polylite PLA. I actually have some of this. Shout out to Windcatcher RC. He sent me some. I never actually used it. I am so sorry. It's super embarrassing. Never actually tested it out and reviewed it because I was overwhelmed with things and could not handle doing a review and getting it out on time. So I never actually used it. Still have it. Still plan to do the review, but anyway, just to know that this is uh one option for lightweight PLA, and the idea is that it basically foams up, and then you get less density, so there's more air in it. The other option that I would say is to go check out 3D Fuel. 3D Fuel. I love 3D Fuel so much. That's what I printed the Crackle Cub out of the yellow. I use the Tough Pro PLA Plus, so I would go check that out personally. I just really love them a lot. You can use my affiliate code to get a discount. RC with Adam. The code is RC with Adam at checkout, and you can get 10% off. But it's just so durable. So the benefit of having really durable filament is that you can just use like one. Well, a lot of times you are using one layer thickness. So that's how I'd first approach it as far as like designing any kind of 3D printed aircraft. And I guess I should have asked for more specifics as far as like what specific part of approaching the 3D design, like what or which part would you which part are you stumped on as far as like the practical logistics of it, um or like the design, or how to make it so you can 3D print it, etc. Sam Holleran on YouTube says, for binding and printing, how do you typically connect your separate pieces with the limited working area of the printer? Do you think super glue would be able to withstand 60 plus mile per hour speeds? Yikes, 60 miles per hour. Yes, I would. So I will share with you the only thing that I actually have experience with, which is the Crackle 3D printed aircraft. So the Crackle Cub,
Welcome back to Inverted Aviation.
I haven't watched this video before, but this might be a good video to watch. So this one,
Inverted Aviators RC.
because you're specifically asking about binding and printing. I assume you mean like gluing like together. How do you typically connect your separate pieces with the limited working area of a printer? You think super glue would be able to withstand 60 plus mile per hour speeds? So let's see if I recall correctly. So here's the wings. Here's the wings section. I think you can go to crackle.com and like, can you see the files or like the? I know I have some, but I don't know if I want. I don't want to like show them. Actually, I'm not sure where they are either. Plain STLs. So let's look at the plain STLs. What I'm getting at is how the construction method works. So, user PDF. Can we do that? Can we look at that? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so this is the PDF of this, and what I'm getting at here is how the sections are put together. Just to kind of, give you some ideas here. Some of these I feel like we're not strong enough, but that's kind of the whole thing with 3D printed stuff, is like it's much stronger now and it's much more durable with modern filaments and stuff, but it's still not going to be like crashing foam board. When it crashes, it's not going to be like foam board. Here's a cool thing: for the hinges, like for the elevator, they use printed pieces of TPU, so just very thin TPU shapes. Like, I'm not sure how thick it is. It's like a few layers basically, and those go into a slot on the end of the horizontal stabilizer and into the elevator. So that's a cool option, and they just use CA glue. So can't remember what kind of glue I use, but it's like kind of standard glue for RC aircraft. So CA glue and accelerator as well. There it is again with the, I think you can see this, using the TPU hinges. I think that's a nice way of doing it. Again, TPU hinges on the wing, and then the wing itself, basically, it kind of stacks or kind of telescopes. And so you would basically have one section of the wing sticks out a little bit into the next section, and then the next section is kind of like hollowed out a little bit to match and to fit and like overlap with the first section. And then it looks like there is a carbon fiber spar support in the pretty much in the center, like to actually connect the wings to the fuselage, but it does not extend through the entire wing. So there's some ideas for you. Yeah. So I think I wouldn't rely on just CA glue to attach it. I would have like a lot of physical uh, contact area with the sections of wings. And as we see in what was it, this video, it prints it vertically. So they're printed vertically. This so it's not super ideal to print so that the layer lines are running what would you say? Parallel. Yeah, I guess you could say parallel with the fuselage of the aircraft because the layer adhesion is generally going to be your weakest connection there. You know something though, you might also want to check out. I should check this out too, but where did it go? 3D Fuel. So 3D Fuel, they've really been pushing this Pro PCTG. And it's this new or newer, I guess, type of filament. It's basically supposed to be, they say, up to 35 times tougher than PETG, and it's more chemically and UV resistant, and so it's just like better. It's just apparently just the next version of PETG, so much better. Um, that this could be a good thing because what I've noticed is you have way more flexibility and kind of like more ductility than PLA than the Tough Pro PLA Plus. So it kind of depends because like if you need rigidity, it's not great, but if you need a lot more durability and being able to bend rather than break, you might want to check out the Pro PCTG. As far as the weight goes, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how big of a difference that would make compared to maybe like the lightweight foaming PLA. Right. Does that answer your question? Sam Hollering on YouTube. Hopefully that answers your question, or at least points you in the right direction. And because, like I've said, I've never designed an RC jet before. Never done that. Probably will eventually. I like slow stuff. You know, I like aircraft that fly super slow. It just seems like more fun to me. Um, Sam Hollering says, "Yeah, that's definitely a helpful conversation. Thanks. Super duper. Glad I could help you in that way with my limited knowledge." Yeah, you know, some people with the RC airplanes and stuff, some people really dig the detailed sort of scale RC models with all the little like, you know, the windows and decals and stickers and stuff. I think it's cool. It just I guess to me, it's that's not what gets me going, you know. That's to me that's not like the point of flying. Even though they do fly really well, but I guess I just doesn't match up with my style of crashing. I mean flying, my style of flying, you know what I'm saying? Um I kind of prefer durability, I would say. Yeah, but 3D printed aircraft, that's pretty cool now. I mean, it's pretty cool how it's much more popular now, much more doable than ever before. Ding, ding, ding. We have a comment question over on YouTube from Pradip Tashanu, 1834. My apologies if I can't pronounce your name. But they say, tell me all the options for the Switchback Pro racing frame, as it also limited by the overall size of the ESCs. I'm not sure. Give me a little more information. I'm not familiar with this type of frame. Let me I just call you Shanu. Shanu? Shanu. All right, Shanu. Give me a little more information because I'm not familiar with this. You said it's the Switchback Pro racing frame. Switchback Pro racing frame. Yep. So is it the 533? Is that what we're looking at? Let's see, 533. Let's go to the source. 533. What? I'm confused. What's this? Switchback Pro. Switchback Pro. All frame. Do they even have it here? Is it still a thing? Okay. Light switch. A lot of switches going on here. The flip switch. Okay. Shanu says, like, what I measured is the available space is only 45 millimeters in length at max. All right, let me see if I can find the thing you're talking about so we can talk about the same thing. Is this it? The Switchback Pro 5-inch racing frame kit. Choose your version. Oh, it's sold out. Darn. Uh, he says, I firstly thought of getting a KM55A ESC by SkyStar, but it is 47 millimeters in length. Okay, yeah, so we're talking about like a really tight, really tight build. Well, to be honest with you, I have never seen this frame before in my life, so I'm not totally sure, but let's see if we can figure this out together. So let me search here. Come on, website. Like, this is your frame. You built this frame. Have some information. It's the Switchback Pro. Switchback Pro. Will all be. It's like, do they not anymore? Is it old? Can you tell me, Shanu, can you tell me where you saw this? So then we can that way I can get the exact information. Oh, maybe it's this one. 533 Switchback Pro frame kit. There we go. I think that's what we're talking about here. I don't know what SFG stands for. SFG arms are backward compatible. I don't know. Okay, so it's saying 20 by 20 mounting only. And also let me look up the so that might answer your question right there. If this is what we're looking at. If this is the correct thing we're looking at. It's 20 by 20 only. So that means that whatever electronic boards, whatever your stack is that you're putting in there, the whole spacing needs to be made for 20 by 20. And let's look up the KM55A Skystars. Skystar. Yes. ESC. Okay, so Skystars, 32-bit 6S. Is that the same thing we're looking at? Okay, it says 20 by 20. Okay, there we go. Now I think we're on the same page. I got you. Okay. Wow. Yeah, because it's 20 by 20 whole spacing, but it's actually way bigger, which is that's fascinating. You don't see that too often. I think. I'm pretty sure you don't see that too often. I mean, yeah, usually it's like everything's contained within the whole spacing. So that's kind of cool. I think that's cool. Probably. Yeah, the 20 by 20 is the mount size, but I'm asking about the actual size of the ESC. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure. I mean, that appears to be because you said previously what you measured is the available space. It's only 45 millimeter length. At first, I thought of getting it. It's 47. Yeah, that's what it's looking like. That is what it's looking like. Additional information. Weight, dimensions. Hmm. Doesn't say. Doesn't specifically say. Trying to see like uh it looks like it would fit. Let's go to what is it called? Is it like it's like FPV drone builds or something? It's like this whole website that has all these different rotor builds. That's what it is that people make, and maybe we can look that up here. Maybe we can look up. That's a pretty cool looking drone right there. The switchback Pro, or what was it called? The um 533 Switchback Pro. 17 builds. So at least this way we'll get like some pictures here that we can use, or hopefully actual information here. Wants to see like all of them. That's not gonna help us, darn. Can we Skystar. Yeah, okay. So I was trying to see if there was some that use that same thing. All right, so Shanu is asking about the actual size of the ESC. It's about the space between spacers of the frame. Right. So the act so let's see. All right, so I see what you're saying. Yeah, so product dimensions is 35 of the ESC, 4-in-1 ESC is 35 by 47. Clearly, it's longer front to back, so that'd be 47 front to back, and then 35 millimeters side to side. um, Trying to get an idea here, trying to get a good angle of it, but here we go. Maybe this would help. So can we like zoom in more? Enhance. Enhance. Ooh, that is good. Great. Oh, look at that picture. I think you can see that okay. So, everybody over on Instagram, welcome. Welcome. Thanks for hanging out. If you have any questions or comments or anything like that, need some help with some drone FPV 3D printing stuff, leave a comment down below. We're trying to help Shanu right now figure out if they're if the SkyStars 4-in-1 ESC will fit inside of this teeny tiny racing frame. Maybe that's that's the best I got is maybe. I mean, this you can see here with this let's do this the smart way, right? Let's figure out what they're actually using here. So they are using the ESC is this guy, right? So let's click on that and it's going to give us a link to get FPV, which is super sweet. And we can see that the size, what does it say? Weight size is 40 by 33. Yikes. Okay, so where'd it go? Where'd SkyStars go? Oh, there we go. SkyStars is 47 by 35. This one is 40 by 33. So it'd be 7 millimeters longer. And that's what that looks like. 40 that's what 40 millimeters looks like, apparently. So I'm guessing the Sky Stars would not fit. But it's hard to say because if it's 7 millimeters longer and the 7 is divided by the front and the back evenly, then you're looking at like 3.5 millimeters. So maybe 3.5 millimeters, and then it's got these little like this little cutout bump out there for the battery pads. So maybe 3.5 millimeters would be okay because it would fit like. Show me the frame, dude. Show me the plate of the frame. Maybe it would work out okay because it would like be able to fit inside in between those standoffs. That's what I'm thinking, maybe. Or possibly out the front, depending on what your camera setup is. I'm not sure. So let's go back to this one. So that was just one example, but I think you get the idea. You could check out rotor builds to kind of get an idea. And yeah, so I see what you're saying. It's about the space between the spacers of the frame. Okay, so we're talking about the space between the standoff of the frame is kind of the main part that we're asking about. This they don't show a specific view from the back, which is upsetting to me a little bit. And the propeller's right in the way of where we want to see, but that looks pretty darn close together. It looks like uh kind of looks like it's almost in line with the standoffs, in which case I don't think it's going to fit. That is my final answer. I don't think it is going to fit. Which is disappointing, but there you go. That's where I would put my money on it. If I was betting on it, I would say it wouldn't fit. So, sorry about that. But that's a good question and a good lesson that you can check out rotor builds and get some information that way. And just like out of curiosity, we could look at it's another one that's pretty open. It looks like it uses the big ESC. Switchback HD. Let's take a look at that one. It says Switchback 0. A little different. That one is running the Thoxier. uh Shanu says, can we find any other similar spec ESC? Yeah, I think the best way to do it would be to do kind of like I'm doing here and just look at the different rotor builds and see what people are running. That would be one way to do it so that you would know that it fits inside of there. Let's see, did we look at that? A Switchback Pro. Switchback Pro. So, like for example, this one uses the Hobbywing X Rotor Micro ESCs. I know the Sky Stars was 55 amp, 55 amp 6S, 3 to 6S, 4 in 1 for $60. Wow, that's quite a deal. Then there was that other one, but there's a newer product available apparently. That one's only 45 amps. Depends on if you really need those extra 15 amps or so. Um, we did that one. Let's do this one. Yep, that's with the HG0. Let's go back. Switchback Classic, Switchback Classic, Switchback Pro. That one says Switchback Pro. There's a Hobbywing X Rotor. Isn't that the same one? Yeah, I don't think they make that one anymore. I don't even know how old these are. 2020, 2021, 2021. Oh, it's crazy because that's not that long ago. Like, yeah, at this point, I guess it's like almost 5 years ago, which is crazy. But it's like not that long ago. But in quad years, it's like very long time ago. Shanu says I am limited by the options here in India. Oh yeah. Um yeah, I'm not familiar with like what is available in different countries or not. So I'm not really sure like how like um where do you get your drone parts and stuff? Like do you get them from do you get them from Get FPV and Pyrodrone and Race Day Quads, or is it like Banggood and I don't know, like Amazon or something, like kind of like the uh, non specific drone places? Let me know. All right. All right. Ding, ding, ding. We have another question. Oh my gosh. We went over an hour. All right. I think this is going to be the last question from Michael Roth over at YouTube. Uh, let's see. He says, so I've had this issue with my Ender 5. So we're talking 3D printing here. Ender 5 Plus, where rounded corners have random bumps along the Z axis. I've tried a lot of different things. I use Cura. Nozzle randomly pauses and spits out filament. Randomly pauses and spits out filament. Do you mean like pauses and like goes somewhere else other than the print and then like purges filament and like spits it out? Or do you mean like it's like you're getting like, it'll just be like printing and then it just pauses the movement and then like extrudes the filament? One of the best places to find some info about that, because I'm not sure if that would be specific to the Ender 5 Plus or not, um, is let's go to wow, I have like so many thousand tabs up here. Got to clean this up. My goodness. All right, so what is it? It's like 3D printing visual troubleshooting guide. Let me see if I can find the links to this. I know I have them somewhere, but Simplify 3D, I think, is one that I've used. We'll see if we can kind of use that as a starting point. The tricky thing about this kind of thing is, he says, no, it causes bumps. It causes bumps. Yeah. So let's look and see if we can try and like find something that matches these. So this is a great resource, Simplify 3D. There's also one by Verkstan, um, but it's also the Bamboo Lab. I think they have a good troubleshooting guide on their wiki. But this one's great because it's photos and it's like, oh, it looks like that. So when you said that, it makes me think like, is it like blobs and zits where you have just like random bits sticking out? Is it curling and rough corners? Um, what's another one? That kind of sounds most likely like the one. Possibly, does everything else print nicely? Like you have Michael on YouTube. You have like good layers. Like it's working well. Um, let's see, overheating, stringing, gaps in layers. Sounds like extrusion could be an issue, like possibly over extrusion. So if we look at over extrusion and blobs and zits, this could be one of the things. Also, give me some more info, like what kind of filament are you printing with? What temperature? Um, what speed? Are you trying to print crazy fast, or stuff like that? So blobs and zits, during a 3D print, the extruder must constantly stop and start extruding as it moves different portions of the build platform. Most extruders are very good at producing a uniform extrusion while they are running. However, each time the extruder is turned on, off and on again, it can create variation. For example, if you look at the outer shell of your 3D print, you may notice a small mark on the surface that represents the location where the extruder started printing that section of plastic. The extruder had to start printing the outer shell of your 3D model at that specific location, and then eventually return to the location where when the entire shell had been printed. These marks are commonly referred to as blobs or zits. Um, so and also if you're when you're researching this, you probably should put in Cura. You should put the type of slicing software that you're using, because this one is simplified 3D, but this so they're kind of talking about for simplified 3D, but this could be for any kind of thing. So retraction and coasting settings, check that out. Avoid unnecessary retractions. And or sorry, yeah, non-stationary retractions. Yeah, so again, the answers for these are kind of like for simplify 3D, but check it out. Michael says straight lines are smooth. Printing temperature is 200 to 215, and using PLA. Yeah, that's kind of what I would think of. And then also the over extrusion, you might check that out. I don't have too much information, but if the rest of it looks fine, then it might be something very specific to that, because I believe you said it was on the corners, where the rounded corners have random bumps along the z-axis. And you said you tried a lot of different things. So I'm not sure which things you tried, but like some of it depends on how badly it's sticking out. If it's sticking out really badly, that's probably like kind of this situation of describing the blobs and zits. But if it's not, it could be the seam. I don't know what your like experience level is and stuff like that. So I'm not trying to say you haven't looked at something that's obvious. But it's possible, like if the seam is like set to random, then the seam the little starting and stopping point might have like a noticeable effect. A lot of this I've looked at. Okay, yeah, it may be an SD card issue. Yeah, so like if it seems like you just can't, like, you've tried all the settings and stuff and like it just isn't working, like try like I it's sometimes it's silly how in some ways simple the answer is, but seems unrelated. Like, close like Cura, restart your computer, like restart your printer, maybe update the firmware on your printer if you need to, or if you recently updated the firmware, maybe it's something to do with that and you need to like do it again. So basically kind of reboot everything and then like maybe use a different SD card. If that's what you're primarily doing, is putting it on the SD card and then putting it on the printer. Um, I mean, you may as well do that, at least that way you can rule out that it's like something to do with the settings or the printer, that kind of thing. All right, that is says I've installed Cura, I've reinstalled Cura 2. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I wish I could help you more with that. That's the best I can do for now, is to point you in that direction. Again, with a lot of 3D printing stuff, there's so many variables that it really helps to like have like pictures of the thing that's happening or video of it as it happens, or like the G code file to be able to like go through the slicer and like actually see what's going on in the settings and stuff. So, but that's all the time we have for today. Thanks for hanging out, everybody, over on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Um, I'm glad we were able to answer some questions and get some things taken care of and all that good stuff. And you can tell by my little tiny hat on my hat, my Christmas hat, it is Christmas time. So Merry Christmas, everybody. Hope you're having a fantastic time. And if you're on break, I hope you are staying healthy and getting some rest. And maybe a good time to do some more drone stuff, more 3D printing stuff, because that is always fun. I know I need to get out there and do that more, because I think it is very therapeutic to be able to just get get involved in a hobby or doing something that's just for enjoyment. So hopefully I'll be right out there with you. Thanks for joining me, folks. I'm going to sign off on Facebook. We're ending it. See you later, Facebook. And on Instagram. Thanks for hanging out, everybody, on Instagram. Have a fantastic day. And I will see you again very soon. I think probably tomorrow. It kind of depends on how I'm feeling. Because, all this stuff is going around. But in any case, if you have more questions or comments or something like that, leave comments, I guess, on this live stream video, and then we'll try to answer them on the next one. But usually we are live from 12 to 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Is this Standard Time? I think it is. Eastern Time. Anyway, all right. Have a good day, everybody. See you later.